The details we have all been waiting for Train Sim World 6. Cue the intro. A warm welcome to the MegaSim channel. My name is MegaSim Stephen, and we are going to be talking about the Riviera Line that is coming to Train Sim World 6. This is one of the most requested routes and also one of the most requested trains that we're getting in this Train Sim World. So that is Britain's Riviera Line, and the return of GWR's iconic branding and adding more services with the deluxe edition and with the eagerly awaited Voyager. We're going to deep dive into all the details we can get hold of from Dovetail before the launch. Early access starting this week, this Thursday, from 4 PM British Summer Time for PlayStation and Xbox players, and 6 o'clock British Summer Time for Epic Games and Steam players. That will be for anyone that's pre-ordered the deluxe or the special edition will get that early access. The actual date of release is Tuesday the 30th. Tuesday the 30th, yeah, that sounds right. Tuesday 30th of September. So, the route. Riviera Line, Exeter St David's to Plymouth, and also the Riviera branch line to Paignton. We also get the newly opened Marsh Barton station, which is in a scenario, so we'll get to see more details about that in a bit. So the South Devon Main Line and the Riviera were both built in the mid 1800s, and the challenge in topography, the hills going up and down, are just immense, but it was considered favourable over an alternative route going over the granite tors of Dartmoor. So what happened? An instant connection to seaside resorts, the ability to cross some of the most picturesque railway in England, and as a result this line soared in popularity. So in Train Sim World we get the stretch from Exeter to Plymouth, linking Devonshire's two cities via this dramatic and historic route. Long gone are the days of the GWR's infamous broad gauge. Instead, it is part of the greater modern UK railway network, which goes from London Paddington down to Penzance. It's often been described as one of the most beautiful stretches of railway in Britain. What do you think? Do you think it's a beautiful route? I do think it is. So this is actually demonstrated as soon as you leave Exeter St David's. You head south through the industrial estate of Marsh Barton, where there was a brand new station that opened in 2023. There is a small opening party that can be found in-game, celebrating that occasion. And it's from here that on all other station platforms in the Riviera Line, where you are able to experience the new platform announcements feature. From there, the line begins to hug the Exe River, passing through the grounds of Powderham Castle, where the Earls of Devon have resided for hundreds of years. Isambard King Brunel was granted permission to build his atmospheric railway through this estate in the 1840s. The first station beyond Exeter is Starcross. From there, trains through the harbour of Cockwood, a popular rail fanning spot, and down to Dawlish Warren, where the River Exe ends and meets the English Channel. Red sandstone cliffs split by the occasional tunnel and accompanied by coastal walkway. Also good for rail fanning. Follow the railway line through to Dawlish Town, famous for its black swans and the storm of 2014 that needed that extensive rebuilding of the wall of the railway line. The coastal running then continues through to Teignmouth. At Newton Abbot, I've got a tickly throat. Just one sec. There we go. At Newton Abbot, the line splits, with the main line continuing on to Plymouth via Totnes and Ivy Bridge, and also the Paignton branch line heading back towards the coast via Tor and Torquay. The route reaches its southern extremity at Plymouth, where trains will run out of the map to serve Cornwall. We also have Lara Depot. That's included in the route where GWR and cross-country trains stable and are also maintained. Now let's look at what what trains we are getting in the Riviera Line. First of all, the Class 802. We get the return of the iconic GWR branding to the game. Since its first appearance was way back, Great Western Express, back in 2018. And it's showcasing a livery that's celebrating 10 years in 2025. And that's the modern 802 IET Cucumber. Though this train may look similar to the 801 Azuma that we have in East Coast Main Line, it performs and sounds very, very different because the 802 is bi-mode. Full diesel engine power to cope with the undulating terrain of the non-electrified Riviera Line, as well as being able to produce some overhead electric power if you want to use it elsewhere. The interior also looks markedly different from the LNER variant, so you have a smart grey and green passenger areas, which will have the new passenger announcements and passenger ambience, will also feature implemented for increased levels of immersion. We're now jumping to the cross-country Class 220 Voyager. This is in the Deluxe and Special Edition, or can be purchased separately at launch on the 30th. It has been requested enough times, and the Voyager is finally here. These distinctive trains were born from the idea to revolutionise some of the busiest and longest services in the UK, including that vast cross-country network all the way from Scotland down to Cornwall. They entered into service back in 2001. A fleet of 34 Class 220s got busy traversing England and Scotland, with each member of the class clocking hundreds of miles per day. So of the many lines and locations the Voyagers have served for the past 20 years, including the bustling city of Birmingham, the towering Forth Bridge in Scotland, and perhaps the most ubiquitous is their stretch alongside that Devonshire seaside towns. Whether as part of the long-distance Aberdeen to Penzance Marathon, which doesn't happen anymore, or the occasional Manchester to Paignton jaunt, the Dawlish seawall scenery is a highlight for travellers of all kinds. In Trains to World 6, be a driver or a conductor aboard the busy cross-country services along the scenic Riviera Line. Accelerate out of Exeter, race by on express services to Plymouth, crest over those Devon hills and hurry past the Dawlish seawall. Existing players will no doubt want to explore other UK routes in their collection by spawning the Voyager into Timetable mode. We will be talking more about that in the back catalogue later in this article. But free roam, you could use it on the Midland Main Line, Fife Circle Line and the West Cornwall Line. Local, it's a bit of a different era, but you could do it in free roam. The Voyager will feature train faults and passenger ambience in the passenger areas, and automated passenger announcements will be toggleable in settings. In reality, they're not automated on Voyagers. They are read out by train managers, but come on, it's nice to have the announcements. It will be available, as I said, to purchase separately if you don't want to get the Deluxe or Special Edition. The next train we have is the Class 150 DMU, serving those local stations previously seen in West Cornwall Local and Cardiff City Network add-ons. First introduced in the 1980s and has seen action across the breadth and depth of Britain. So for the Riviera Line, it comes with the new GWI livery and reworked cabin passenger interior from previous versions. Sounds have been updated following an audio recording trip by the audio team, which has enabled the sounds for the TFW 150 to be updated for Train Sim World 6 players. Some of these updated sounds are already implemented into the TFW version, that is correct. Even though you do get the 150 in this, you don't need to already own it to have it on this route. New features, train faults and random events. So the Riviera Line and its trains will feature the new train faults and random events. This includes signal delays and temporary speed restrictions. Train faults can be toggled in the settings menu, and it makes it possible for a variety of faults to be encountered during a run in timetable mode. So for the Class 150 and the 220, the 150 will get wiper stuck. Oh, they both have the same thing. Wiper stuck, diesel engine stalls and passenger door stuck. The 802 does not have train faults at present, but they will come in a post-release update. Timetable, layers. Oh, the layers. I can't wait to tell you about these. Scenarios and gameplay. So the timetable has been developed with the help of Tyler and game designer at Rivet Games. There we go. We have got it. Rivet Games are in with the Riviera Line. So we may remember Tyler from the Class 170 West Midlands Cross Country article, where they described in detail how all the work they'd done for the Birmingham Cross City. But as a reminder, when players first start Train to World 6, all service layers will be defaulted to off. This can be changed in the settings menu for default all, not default to all on, or you can do it per service. So the scenic Riviera Line boasts a surprising density and variety of traffic, so let's take a journey along the line for an overview of playable and AI services. So a priority for many players is accuracy, and Dovetail and Rivet share that priority. So the data from the timetable comes from a working timetable, an official publication for the railway industry in the UK, and they are using the May 2023 edition, and have included every service listed in the passenger and freight timetables, whether playable or AI. Arrival departure times from intermediate stations are straight from the WTT, not auto-generated. Station stops after a train leaves the modelled route, shown on platform and train information screens and known as virtual destinations, are also from the working timetable. The shared trunk of the route is from Exeter St David's to Newton Abbot, where the line then splits. The Paignton line follows the coast to Paignton, and the main line climbs over the South Devon banks to Plymouth. Local stations on the trunk and Paignton branch are primarily served by the 150 on a half-hourly stopping service between Paignton and Exmouth. We can play as far as Exeter St David's, where the AI reverses in the station, heads out the map towards Exmouth. And these trains are stabled at Exeter Depot. That's adjacent to Exeter St David's. So early morning and late evening are a flurry of depot services shunting across the River Exe between the depot and station. Now Exeter St David's is the busiest station on the route, with 8 playable trains per hour, plus AI trains from off-map locations such as Barnstable, Oakhampton and Exeter Central. It is also the terminus of the Class 159 services from London Waterloo, which are represented by the East Midlands 158 layering in from Midland Main Line. Yeah, it's close enough. It looks like it, just don't read East Midlands, read Southwest. But if you disagree with it, turn it off in the layers. Departing Exeter St David's, head to the outskirts of the city. Marsh Barton opened in 2023 as part of the Devon Metro Improvement Programme in the grand opening scenario. What am I doing? Oh yeah, in the grand opening scenario, I don't know where I went there, you'll drive a VIP service to the station's opening ceremony. But the new station is also interesting in timetable way for the Class 150, because outside peak times, every other Paignton Exeter service skips the stations between Exeter St David's and Dawlish, forming one stopper and one express each hour. Going toward Paignton, the stopper serves the new station, but in the opposite direction, the stopper skips it, whilst the express stops. The next station, Dawlish Warren, is on twin passing loops, forming a stretch of the quadruple line. Many stopping services wait here for the faster train to overtake them, giving you a chance to train spot, look for collectibles, or simply get a cup of tea. That said, the time is valued here, and they've split wait times longer than 10 minutes into a separate service, allowing us to get our score, go back to the menu and start part 2 immediately. Leaving Dawlish Warren behind, we're soon winding along the coast until we reach the Red Cliffs at Dawlish. The sea can be rough here, waves crashing onto a line, a theme explored in the wave wall rescue scenario. The track further from the ocean is signalled bidirectionally between Dawlish Warren and Teignmouth for flexibility in that bad weather. They leave the ocean at Teignmouth for a short sprint along the River Tyne to Newton Abbot. Then after Newton Abbot, split off the main line, head through leafy suburbs until we reach the town of Paignton. Some trains change ends at the station to form the next service, whilst others continue past the station to the Goodrington sidings. So those carriage sidings use manual junctions, so make sure you set the points correctly before moving. Now, the Class 150 isn't the only train you'll see on the Paignton branch. The 802 and the 220 also serve the town. If you own Great Western Express, the 166 will handle some of these services, bringing turbos to the seaside. Paignton shares a station with a steam heritage railway. which also layers in using the Jubilee and 8F from Peak Forest Railway and the Mark 1 coaches from West Somerset Railway. The runaround shunting moves at Paignton are playable, and AI handles the off-route trips to Kingswear, all using the railway's real timetable and providing year-round service. A trip to the Teesside is lovely, but it's time for a workout. If we turn right in Newton Abbot instead, we immediately launch into a stiff climb of Dainton Bank, a 2-mile slog as steep as 1 in 36 or 2.8%. This is the third steepest mainline bank to the British mainland. The steep gradients and the winding curves of the South Devon banks have challenged drivers since the 1840s, but today's trains are more up to the task. The 802 is a bi-mode diesel and electric multiple unit known as the Intercity Express Train, IET, or Cucumber. These provide an hourly service between London Paddington and Plymouth, with some trains continuing to Penzance or Newquay. They also provide 3 daily round trips between London and Paignton, and these operate in 5, 9 and 10 carriage sets. The cross-country 220 Voyager also tackles this portion of the line on an hourly service between Plymouth and Edinburgh, as well as 3 round trips between Paignton and Manchester Piccadilly. These operate in 4 and 8 carriage sets. Here we go. The Class 43 HST is layered from Great Western Express. That has been bumped from top line express services, but can still be found on the route working shorter 4-carriage regional services between Penzance and Cardiff. In 2023, not enough modernised castle sets have been completed, so some unrebuilt classic sets were still in use, which is what is depicted here, and you'll also spot static HST stock around Leicester Depot. The Dainton Tunnel marks the summit of the first climb, so shut off power and be ready on the brakes as you drop down into Totnes, where we find our second Heritage Railway holding a diesel gala. Class 33 and Mark 1 coaches from West Somerset Railway operate April to December, joined by the Class 101 from West Coast Mainline Preston to Carlisle from June to August. These services are AI only, but provide something interesting to look out whilst driving past. If you're running express through Totnes, put the power on as you pass the station to get a running start at Rattery Bank. It's not as steep as Dainton, but it's twice as long. If you did stop at Totnes, you'll have a long, slow climb to Rattery Viaduct. The grades ease up for a while before you drop down into the steep Hemerdon Bank to Plymouth. In the past, HST services were sometimes advised not to stop at Totnes in the down direction in order to have a decent run up before Rattery. Now that there are only 4 cars, I think it's alright. Both the IET and Voyager are stabled at the Leicester Depot, and this fully playable facility bustles with traffic throughout the day and includes a triangle for turning trains and train wash. 3 Class 08 shunters are stabled at the depot, and they've included several of these rail tour layers, more on that later. Plymouth Station is a mile past the depot, giving plenty of empty coaching stock gameplay between the station and the depot. You'll also find some longer stock movements between Leicester, Exeter and points north. Many trains terminate at Plymouth, but others continue as AI services toward Penzance. The station is also served by AI traffic, including the 150 services to Gunners Lake. Freight flows. So the Riviera Line has less freight today than in the past, but what remains will give you a run for your money. Many freight services start or end at Exeter Riverside Yard, just north of Exeter St David's, which is fully playable. Sand from Bungalow flows to Bow for making concrete. While the empty train handles 16 wagons at once, viaduct weight restrictions restrict loaded wagons to 8 at a time. So the loaded trains run twice, leaving the first batch of wagons at Exeter Riverside Yard, then running light back to Plymouth to pick up the rest. And that requires West Coast Main Line, London Euston to Milton Keynes and South Eastern High Speed. China Clay is mined in Cornwall and flows from Bungalow through Exeter Riverside Yard. These are represented by the PGA wagons standing in for the CDO wagons, which handle clay traffic until 2023. This layer is seasonal to represent the as-needed traffic, which doesn't run every day. Now that requires West Coast Main Line Euston to Milton Keynes and the BR Class 20 Chopper Loco add-on, which is the Tees Valley line. Nuclear waste is transported from Plymouth Dockyard, Removed from decommissioned submarines. Like the real services, these operate with top and tail DRS Class 66s, 2 flask wagons and an Aircon Mark IIF rider carriage. These services have been planned in the in-game timetable ahead of Skyhook Games' Cargo Line Volume 5 nuclear release, which is currently on the roadmap. Further details will be made on that. But you do also need the Edinburgh to Glasgow Engineering Express, the Cargo Line Volume 5 nuclear, and the Class 86-2 and Mark IIF coaches. Exeter Riverside Yard stores disused aggregate wagons, included a static stock to match satellite reference photos, and that requires Great Western Express. Now we've got a bit of rail care. You need inspection, you need engineering to keep the infrastructure in good condition. So the railhead treatment train works a full tour of the line to blast leaf debris off the rails twice daily in October and November. An ultrasonic inspection train makes weekly visits to the line to check for internal defects within the rails. This is formed of top and tail Class 37s and several Mark 1 and Mark 2 coaches, and visits the entire route plus a trip to Exeter Depot for fueling. Excuse me. This layer is seasonal to represent the once weekly schedule, and is represented by existing rolling stock from other add-ons, a bit in their native liveries and variants. So that you need the West Cornwall Local, the West Coast Mainline Preston to Carlisle, and the BR Class 86/2 and Mark IIF coaches. Here's an interesting one: sleepers and rail tours. So we don't have any sleepers and trains in the world, but could we have the Riviera Line without the famed Night Riviera sleeper? No. So substituting in a heritage rail tour using first class Mark III carriages pulled by a Class 47 requires the West Coast Mainline Preston to Carlisle. When it comes to other rail tours, they've referenced a variety of photos and videos to research accurate consists and routings. Some are a combination of multiple tours to create interesting and varied gameplay that's still as realistic as possible. The South Devon Banks will give you a run for your money at the throttle of a steam engine or a Class 52 Western, so naturally they started there. 3 rail tours run from Exeter St Davis to Plymouth and back. Each unloads at Plymouth and turns on the triangle at Leipzig Depot, staying there for a few hours before servicing before returning to Plymouth to board. Because Leipzig Depot is a mile away from Plymouth, another locomotive is needed on the rear of the train to lead the way. The Cathedrals Express rail tour behind Flying Scotsman and assisted by a Class 08 based at Leipzig Depot, so that requires the Flying Scotsman and the West Coast Mainline Preston to Carlisle. The Western Pilgrim Rail Tour behind the D1015 Western Champion in BR Blue and assisted by a Class 08 based at Leipzig Depot requires Diesel Legends of the Great Western, West Coast Mainline Preston to Carlisle, and the Class 86-2 and Mark IIF coaches. The Devonian Double Rail Tour behind double-headed Class 40s and assisted by a Class 47 on the rear of the train. That requires the BR Heavy Freight Pack with Northern Transpennine and the West Coast Mainline Preston to Carlisle. A further rail tour runs from Exeter St Davis to Plymouth, continuing off the route before returning several hours later for the return trip. The South Devon Explorer Rail Tour behind a Maroon Jubilee requires West Cornwall Steam Rail Tour. 2 rail tours run from Exeter St Davis to Paignton. The Western Sunrise Rail Tour behind the Red Western along with a Green Class 47 unloads at Paignton, continues to Goodrington Sidings to turn around its train before returning to Paignton for the return trip. That requires the BR Class 52 Western from Western Somerset Railway and the Flying Scotsman. The Torbay Express Rail Tour is behind a Class 47, continues as AI onto the Steam Railway at Paignton, running several hours later for the return trip, requires West Somerset Railway. Oh, that's the end of the journey through the timetable. So for clarity, just to go through it again, the full list of add-ons, if you want all the layers, you will need, and this is a big one, this is almost like Germany with the layers, you need the Great Western Express, Diesel Legends of the Great Western, West Somerset Railway, Class 33 add-on, Class 52 add-on, the Flying Scotsman, Peak Forest Railway, Midland Main Line, West Coast Mainline Preston to Carlisle, the Class 86/2 Loco add-on, West Coast Main Line South London's Milton Keynes, South Eastern High Speed, Railhead Treatment Train, West Cornwall Local, West Cornwall Steam Rail Tour, Northern Transpennine, BR Heavy Freight Pack, Tees Valley Line, Class 20 Chopper Loco add-on, and the yet to be released Cargo Line Volume 5 Nuclear. Oh my goodness, there is so many layers on this. This is what we needed in the UK. Layers galore, and we've got it, and it is good. The seasonal variation of services, there are different services for April, May, June, July, September. I'm not going to go through them, but they can be altered in the timetable mode along with weather settings. I think it's more of you can play them whenever you want if you are playable, but for AI it will only appear during those months. Now, 8th generation console gameplay. So after reviewing performance on previous generation consoles, they've amended the timetables to provide a suitable experience for these players. That's Xbox One, PlayStation 4 players. There will be no additional services, playable or AI, from layered content from other add-ons. So we're going to get Voyager 802 150, we'll get that, nothing else. No other AI, no other playable layers. Okay? That's for Xbox One and PlayStation 4 players. Now, we want to know if there are any other layers from other route add-ons. Now, Rivet Games, they confirmed that gaps were planned for the cross-country 220 Voyager in their recent 170 Birmingham Cross City timetable. They will be implemented in a future update. Players with the West Somerset Railway add-on and Riviera Line will see the Class 150 services replaced with the GWR version, and which was used in real life during shuttle trials. The Class 220 Voyager will also appear as an AI on the short section of the Great Western Main Line for players with the Deluxe Special Edition or the Loco add-on, and they also will be implemented in a post-launch update. These additions will apply to the Steam Gala timetable, available for players with the Peak Forest Railway and West Somerset Railway add-ons. So not the original timetable, but the new Steam version, Steam Gala. ATS, they have similarly have plans for an update implementing the Voyager onto the Manchester Airport commuter service. And the first post-launch add-on by All Aboard Studios, the Birmingham crew will also have the Class 220 Voyager layers available to play. Liam, who's the game designer dealing with the Great Western Express remaster, he has also confirmed that the 220 Voyager will appear as AI in that remaster DLC. Scenarios and gameplay. So there are 8 scenarios in total for the Riviera Line, 5 with the route, 3 for the 220 add-on, the Class 220 Voyager. These feature situations themed around Halloween, the inclement weather causing trains to fail at Dawlish, and the opening of the Marsh Barton station. There are mastery challenges included, performing certain tasks on the route, completing certain scenarios, travelling a certain amount of miles, and there will be unlocking posters and toggable scenery tiles. Oh my goodness, I've come to the end of that, and that was an epic news article. Hopefully you are looking forward to the Riviera Line coming out. If you have pre-ordered on Deluxe and Special Edition, you will get to play it Thursday, this Thursday afternoon, 4 PM for console, 6 PM for PC, British summertime. I am going to be releasing some videos on that Thursday as well, so check them out. But I think that does it there. My throat is killing me because I've done some videos today of Train Sim 6 themselves. I've been talking through that. Now I've just done this. My throat is sore. I need a drink. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more. Like the video. And yeah, subscribe for more content. And I will see you on the next video. This is Mega Sim out of here. See you soon, guys. Bye.